Alright, welcome back everybody. I am definitely not FX. I'm going to be running Golden Sun for you guys. With me on commentary is the one, the only legend, TL Plexer. And,
man, you hyped me up too much.
Well,
this is the one category I can't touch. FX is in a class of his own on this one, so you're in for a treat.
I hope I can get it first try, but we'll see. So this one is going to be wild, and I'm just going to go right into it, and so I'll count you down, and then we can get started. So 3, 2, 1, go. So this one starts from power on. The reason we do that is to discourage freaky RNG manips right at the beginning to save minimal time. I'm just going to get right into it. So I guess I should right away explain that we are starting from a save file that we not mandate, but encourage runners to use for these categories. Because, well, as you might know, for Golden Sun, the introduction is 40 minutes. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, well, basically, a huge community effort happened about just over a year ago now that just blew up this game completely. And it turns out you can do a lot of really crazy stuff in Treachery without really playing the game at all. And we decided that since that part of gameplay is, roughly 30 minutes long, give or take, depending on the category, that it doesn't really make sense to grind through a relatively static 40-minute section. So for everybody's sanity, we just decided, all right, guys, we'll start after the intro. We'll live through the Flint tutorial, but otherwise we'll just, give our runners' hands a rest.
All right, so Flint is going to explain
all kinds of weirdness in this category.
Yeah, Flint will explain to us how the Djinn system works, which is like a magical spirits that give you extra power, but we're not going to be using that too much in this run. We will do a couple things with it, but overall it's really quite straightforward, and honestly we have a good time for a donation.
Marvel Girl 186,125 donated $10. Good luck FX. No need to worry about GOAT RNG in this run.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much for the donation. There is some RNG still, but that does touch on another aspect of runs that allow saving and quitting. We can just manipulate what happens in the game, because the randomness isn't very random. And you'll see that right away.
Basically it resets to a default status every time you do a reset, and if you know where you start, you can just do the same actions every time and get the same results. So this vermin is scripted, we can just run away with it without doing anything, and that's just a really trivial example of how RNG Minute kind of works. Although with the reroutes to this category, RNG Minute's not as much of a big deal, although it is kind of critical to finish the game, right? As you'll see. Spoilers.
Yeah, it's going to play a big part near the end, and we have another decent cutscene here explaining some story that we don't really care too much about, so honestly if we have another donation, that would be a good time.
Ent91 donated $50. Good luck, I hope you won't need nose itch strats today.
Holy crap, that's such a big donation, thank you so much, dude. It goes straight to Save the Children, of which I think it's 89% of every dollar goes straight to their goals. So it's a really small overhead, but so you can rest assured that if you donate something, it goes straight to the good cause. Alright, that's the second cutscene out of the way. We have, I want to say, 2 more? Yeah, 2 more before we get into our first real fight. So this is Vault.
As much as I'd love to explain Golden Sun mechanics to you, this is a run that really tries to not play Golden Sun, so a lot of it is just irrelevant. The only thing you need to know is that this is a JRPG and follows a pretty classic turn-based JRPG format, so that stuff is pretty straightforward. But we are looking to do fights in a very scripted and programmatic kind of way. There is a boss fight coming up soon, and it's really the only, one of 2 fights that we're going to take in this run. And we're going to need to be very observant around what stats that we get on level up there. This whole route depends on being able to control Isaac's defense value for reasons that will become apparent in a little while. Basically, deep ace voodoo mumbo jumbo. This is no ace, but you'll see what we do.
Yeah, Plexa is absolutely right that this category and some of the other RNG Minute categories are trying to not play the game, basically. So if you're used to the marathon runs for this game where it's no save and quit, I like to call it a no major glitches type thing. There's still glitches in those runs, but it still resembles Golden Sun. And this run, for the first 50 minutes or so, will definitely look like Golden Sun, and then it will just not look like Golden Sun at all anymore. So first we're going to go over here and pick up this mint. We don't need it for the stats, but it's a very specific pickup, because we need to get some money. You can do without it as well, but it's less safe for what's to come. So I decided to route it in for this marathon run.
Yeah, as we mentioned, Isaac's defense is really important, and the easiest way to modify his defense value is by buying different kinds of armor, and surprisingly that makes the money rig pretty tight. So it's just most convenient to pick up a decently sellable item like a mint, rather than something like a Water of Life, which sells for more, because it takes longer to get the Water of the Life.
Okay.
The mint is like one of the quickest items
Ivan!
to pick up.
God damn it, dude!
Oh, you got the no save and quit special.
Bruh! What are you doing, mate? Alright, well, so yeah,
that's the
Ivan
Golden
just
Sun
decided...
experience right there.
Ivan just decided to turn around.
Yeah,
He was like, you know what? I'm going this way now.
You might not want to play the game, but the game wants to play you, man.
The game is up for violence, it seems, but I'll try my best. Alright.
Oh boy.
Alright, so now we know that the bandits are the bad guys, who would have thought. We can go move this out of the way. No, that's not quite. There you go. I'm going to quickly set Flint to the upcoming battle. So Jin have a standby and a set state. They also have a recovery, but we're never going to be seeing that in this run. And I want to start the fight with a set Flint because of the script that we're going to be following. So what I'm going to be doing for this upcoming battle is I'm going to try to make the two purple guys that you will see coming onto screen in just a moment, these guys, they have actions too, but I'm going to make them skip all of them, and only the orange shawl guy is going to attack me. And that makes the fight very safe, and actually, even if he piles up on a single character, that character will still survive. So with that, there is essentially no randomness here that can surprise you and end your run somehow, provided that I don't make a mistake.
Yeah, so there's two kinds of RNG in Golden Sun. There's battle RNG and general RNG. Battle RNG kind of decides what actions are going to be selected, and that we're very much in control of right now, while the general RNG is kind of a mess. Now, normally, like, that's not a problem, but for this run specifically, we do care about the general RNG because it tells us what our level ups are going to be. So you'll see FX pay a lot of attention at the end of this fight as to what the random level up on Isaac is. So while the fight is going to happen in a scripted way, we don't know where they're attacking because that's a different RNG value. And we don't know what level up stats we're going to get. But we do know what actions they're going to use and how much damage we're going to deal, which, you know, makes this fight relatively free.
So you see the
cool RNG
the middle guy decided to just go ham on Garrett, and yeah, he's still fine. I think we're fine on the level up there, but I'm going to double check when I get to the next town as well, just to be safe. Yeah, so when you level up, you can gain stats randomly. And because of me picking up the mint as a safety thing, I don't have exact control over what the level up is going to be. So I'm just going to double check when I get to shopping for all the equipment to make sure that I have the correct amount of defense. Because we can actually adjust it on the fly, because the variance is only a single point of defense, and I can actually fix that if I got a bad level up. So
yeah, it's really convenient the way this manip works out. Basically, from getting from the next town to the final dungeon of the game, basically, there are 2 points where you can use a hard nut, which is a stat level up item, and the hard nut comes also with variance on how much defense it gives you. And so we can either manipulate a +4 or a +3 based on the outcome of this fight. And it all kind of works out the same, regardless of which one you have to use. So it's very convenient that that happens.
yeah, it just works out really nicely. Okay, so with this cutscene, we don't really have too much going on, so I would say we could throw it over for a quick donation.
Jangle Storm donated $30. As promised, here's $5 for every death I took during the Super Adventure Island run. Thanks so much once again to ESA for having me, it's been a blast.
Yo, Jangle coming through. Good stuff, good stuff. Thank you so much. Right, so we're just gonna mash our way through these cutscenes. I guess I could touch on how mashing works. You can actually skip the final word of each text box and save a little bit of time, but it requires really quick mashing, and honestly, I've been playing too many rhythm games this week, so I'm a bit tired. So you don't see me mashing too quickly here. But it's a very minor thing. You save a frame if you skip the final word. You might see it every once in a while. Like there it happened. It's tough to see as well, because this game runs at 60 FPS for a GBA game. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's kind of impossible to kind of optimize your mashing. You just kind of get into a rhythm and stick with the rhythm, and hopefully it works out. FX here is also responsible for the TAS of this game, so he knows all about all the frame savers here and there, but as someone who doesn't really worry about that, you just have to go as hard as you can and try and save the frames, because you do know there is a frame save. There are frame saves available, but you do what you can.
Alright, so this is, we got the news that Ivan's, I guess, surrogate parent has been kidnapped, and he wants to go save said parent. But we can't go with him because we have our own quest to fulfill, which is to go break the game. He doesn't know that yet, but we're almost done here, and then we get to play the game again for a small bit. And we're just about coming up on our first dungeon, actually, where I'll be touching on some of the core elements of the speedrun. Let's save here. So I'm going to Sanctum Warp here, which is a safety feature in case you ever got stuck. I can just warp to the nearest Sanctum. I can use that again later as well. And I'm going to quickly make sure that I delay leaving the town just enough to manipulate the RNG here, and we're going to get a slime that we can run away from. There we go. And then we won't get any more encounters on the way to Goma Cave. You want to touch on the retreat glitch, Flexa?
Yeah, sure thing. So, probably the most impactful glitch in the series is this thing called the retreat glitch. And while it's not directly breaking the game, it allows us to break the game, and it gives us the opportunity to do that. The way that it works is, retreat is a spell that when you cast it, you get sent back to the start of a dungeon. Think like escape rope in Pokemon. One thing though is the developers never expected you to bind retreat to a hotkey. So in this game, you can see FX has got move bound to a hotkey. He can press L or R and bring move up, and rather than going through the menu. So the developers never intended you to be able to do that, or they never expected you to do that with retreat. So while retreat works as expected most of the time, if you don't have enough PP for retreat to work, retreat will fail. But the game will think that it succeeded. And that puts you in this weird state where you're in one room, but the game thinks you're in a second room. And that mismatch of room identity allows us to do a whole bunch of wrong warps, essentially. The only way we're going to use it, I think, in this run is we're going to use it with save and quit. So what that will do is we go into the what we call retreat mode, drop our PP below 6, fail to use retreat via a hotkey, save the game, reload the game, and we'll end up out of bounds in the same location, in the same XY coordinate as where we saved the game, but in a different map. And being out of bounds, we can do all kinds of fun stuff. You'll see that when FX turns on his Lua script later on, but basically we can access data that would normally be interpreted as other things, as map event stuff, and access doors from like underflowed Y coordinates or underflowed X coordinates and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So normally you would safety reset here, or in like the classic minute run, you would reset there to get a consistent outcome, but because this is such a short run, it's better to just YOLO and hope you get good RNG like that. But the encounter was pretty early, so I might get another one later on. Let's see, 8. So we need to cast move twice to get under 6 energy points so that I can actually cast retreat and have it fail like this. Save my game here. And we're going to reset, and that as Plex has explained, it writes our XY coordinate from that room into the first room, which will be out of bounds. And I will show you how out of bounds works in this game first. So you can see Isaac is on the left of the screen here, and it doesn't seem like the camera is really chasing him around, and that's because it will not. I'll start running up here, and eventually the camera will just stop moving. And as you can see, now you would be rather blind. And that is how we do the speedrun, you just do it blind. But this is rather boring for a viewer, so I'm gonna show you what the out of bounds actually looks like, which will be wild. Here you go. That's what it looks like. Luckily for this one, we can just run up, and we'll eventually get to the door that we need. But you can imagine that this can be a minefield, essentially. If you do one wrong move, you're stuck, or you break the game. So you need to be really careful. And that camera unlock is what I'll be using in Treachery as well to show you guys what it looks like. But that would be a bit unfair because then I can see where I'm going, right? So I'm going to be wearing a blindfold for that, and hopefully that will all work out. Alright, so now we're going to be shopping. I'm going to get this shield, equip it, and then I'm not going to sell my stuff. Then I need these gloves, and I'm not going to equip them. Then I'm going to get this helmet, which I'm not going to equip. And then I need this wooden caps. 37 defense, that is actually perfect. I got myself a ticket, I'm going to have to drop that. Drop. Come on, there you go. Our inventory is very important here. If I put things in the wrong location, the out of bounds movement will not work. This girl likes to be in the way, but... Alright, let's push the children instead of saving them, I suppose. Alright, and with that we've done all our shopping. And save our game again. I'm going to reset here to get a consistent RNG once more, because that town has a lot of moving NPCs. So 37 means that I need to use the hard nut right away. So there we go, 39 defense, that is perfect. And that should give us good RNG on the way to this barricade as well. And I'm going to do a pixel perfect move cast here to get the good RNG. That is not the correct pixel, that's unfortunate, but that's fine. We'll just get random enemies now. Which isn't usually an issue, because enemies here are quite weak, and because we just bought a bunch of gear for Isaac, we're actually kind of overstatted. I'll just grab this. Nice turtle boots. Normally a very secret item, but it just so happens that it's just right there, and we actually need it for this speedrun, which is kind of hilarious. I think this is a one. Yes, it is. There we go.
Nice.
Gaming. Alright, so we have another pretty lengthy cutscene here where Ivan is like, hang on, what is happening? There's all these sparkly bits, and then suddenly we get attacked magically. And all of this story is rather irrelevant because we're going to be skipping all of it in just a moment. But it's still cool. The story is actually quite fun when you're playing this casually. I would highly recommend paying attention to the text if you decide to try this game out. It's very accessible. Yeah, bubbles.
So yeah, our main objective here is basically just get into the Treachery dungeon. It just so happens that that dungeon has all the necessary properties to do some really fun things. And it's due to a leaf tile, which we'll see once we get there.
Yeah, I'll show it.
Before we get into Treat, there's one more thing that we need to do. We have to pick up a fur coat. So as you've noticed, we've gone out of our way to buy a bunch of items and get things that change our defense value, including the turtle boots, which don't know why those exist, but they do. And we're going to get the fur coat using one of my favorite speedrunning stories of all time. It's not really that impressive, but hey, I've hyped it up now. So a runner by the name of Val Nocturno, he's been on ESA a number of times, love him to bits. He was on a personal mission to be able to find a way to get the fur coat without solving the puzzle. And it was completely irrelevant, because the fur coat was irrelevant to every single category that we could possibly come up with at the time. Fast forward 7 years, suddenly we have this tech that requires Isaac's defense value to be manipulated in interesting ways, and suddenly this fur coat thing actually becomes super relevant. So now we've got this technique that we only know of because Bal was on this personal mission that was completely useless, that is now essential to beat this game the fastest possible way. So thank you, Bal. We appreciate your service.
Yeah, it's true. It's actually kind of funny the way it worked out. That turtle boots and fur coat, the two biggest meme items in the run, ended up being essential to playing the game fast. It's quite something. So this is Colima Forest. There's quite a few dangerous enemies here, and normally I would just YOLO and I hope I don't die, but because this is a marathon run, I'm gonna just save.
No.
I didn't save over Vault.
Did you just save over
no,
Vault?
I don't need Vault, don't worry. I need world map here.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Cool. Alright, you freaked me out.
Yeah, no worries. So there are two variants of this speedrun. Any % with Ace, where you need the Vault file, and there is also any % without Ace, which is what we're doing, where you need the world map file. So, okay, there goes Ivan. Oh, okay, all right. Let me just. So that's fine. Not ideal, but it's okay. If Garrett goes down as well, I'm gonna have to reset. And, like, go back to the start of this dungeon. That's a lot of encounters, holy moly. Okay.
Yeah, so we would be manipulating through this section, except that the general RNG is advancing every frame in both the first and second room in this dungeon, which makes manipulation rather impossible for a human. From here on out, it's, like, manipulatable if we needed to, but...
Yeah, it's faster not to, basically. You just hope for good RNG.
Exactly. And the category this short, like, setting up the manip to do the manip just wastes more time, well, compared to the optimal, right? And it's another reason why we start after the intro, because we knew this run would just become this reset-heavy grind otherwise.
Okay. Okay. Alrighty then.
Yeah.
Nobody saw that.
Literally trolled, man. Literally trolled.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing the same dungeon again, so this would be a great time for a donation, honestly.
V. D. Ryden, Martin, Plasmolysis, donated $20. May the exploration of Tretson sides be fruitful.
Thanks, Plasmo. Legendary viewer of mine. Who also happens to be my brother, by the way. Like an aside.
Really?
You know what? I'm gonna save again, because I love not doing this dungeon. Okay, cool. This is some rough hands I'm being dealt here. Okay, very nice, very nice. Okay, there we go. Luckily, the skeletons and whaleheads aren't super powerful, so they're just very slow. Alright.
Yeah, really the only thing that's scary here is the troll.
Yep.
But
Ivan,
these things
please
can
don't.
be surprisingly dangerous.
What? Can I please run away? Thank you, game. This is in my practice. This has never
is particularly
been
bad.
Yeah, this is actually insanely slow. Really, really unlucky, which is kind of funny that it happens. Of course, it's a marathon run, so of course that's when the game decides that should happen, which is always fun.
I guess one thing I can say here is that we kind of... Well, Ivan being dead isn't the end of the world. It is nice to keep Ivan alive. The way that this game works out how you run from encounters or what your flee chances is it takes your party average level, subtracts the enemy average level, and multiplies that by like 5. So the higher level we are, the better chance we have of running away. That's okay. That's okay. And Ivan is at level 4, while Isaac and Garrett are level 2. So Ivan brings our party level up, so it's kind of nice to keep him alive, but it's nice and not essential. It's actually optimal probably to have Garrett die, but whatever.
All right.
Here's the trick that Val found. It's kind of cool.
It's frame perfect though, so
It's not frame perfect, it's pixel perfect.
come on. There you go.
Yeah. The way that trick actually works is there's 16 different ways that Isaac can face, but you can only ever see visually 8 of them, and you need to be on the up, left facing direction, which you can't visually distinguish between up, left. And if you're facing up, left with the right pixel, you can talk to the chest. But that's really stupidly hard to do, so you just kind of run into the wall a bunch of times until you get it.
Basically, I run like up left, and then I tap left and up, and I try to tap up for a single frame, and that should give you the correct positioning. But, oh well, we got it. We're gonna enter the final dungeon of this run, basically. Not quite, but kind of.
This is where the magic happens.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you what the leaf tiles are all about. Like, you can jump over this like that, and it breaks, and that's what we're gonna be using. It luckily resets when I get out here. Actually, hang on. I'm gonna. So we need to drain our energy. I'm gonna quickly just stand by Flint because it makes it easier. I'm just gonna be spamming move for a little while here. Just having a good old time.
Jumping on those leaf tiles is interesting for us because when you jump on the tile, it writes a value to memory that is offset to our current position by a certain amount. That basically says break the leaf. And the writing of that instruction is different depending on whatever leaf we're hitting. And those
Real quick,
and those leaves are...
I need to use my blindfold now, so one moment.
Yeah, so while FX is setting up his blindfold, basically every time we hit those leaves, we're writing a value that's offset. We can only break each leaf once, so we have to change our defense value continuously. Because what we're going to do is we're going to manipulate to have these leaf tiles in right on top of Isaac's defense value, and use that to write various values into memory by continually hitting different leaves. So here we go, out of bounds landscape, very spooky. That's a 4.
It's a 4?
Yeah.
That's kind of unlucky.
Very unlucky. So the only thing FX has to worry about here is, well, the movement is basically scripted, but sometimes we can get bad encounters that screw up the out of bounds landscape. That is also a 4 and a bad encounter.
Cool. Hello? Control R? There we go. I'm hoping that I'll not get too many 4s.
Yeah, I guess I'm just safe.
I'll try to do something a little bit different. That's a 4, right?
That is also a 4.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Cool.
That's a 4?
That is a 5.
A 5 even? Oh, is this the soldier at the end?
Yeah, it's the double B, double rest soldier.
Yeah, that's actually a fine encounter, but I'm gonna safety save anyway. Hang on. Save here. There we go. You'll have to forgive me for being a bit slow with the keyboard. It's not the one I usually use.
You're okay, you're okay. Yeah, so right now all we're doing is we're trying to get really deep out of bounds, so we're running very, 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 very far up. And we can use various pieces of fixed landscape, basically walls that would exist, that's also a 4, to kind of manipulate where we are trying to be. This next one, I think you're going to load the battle arena,
I'm going to be loading battle menu now, yeah.
Yeah. So loading in the battle arena changes the out-of-bounds landscape a little bit. It's going to introduce new walls, and that's going to allow us to do a little setup to cross what's called the RNG River. The RNG River is actually the visualization of, or the tile representation of the sound file. So it's this continually shifting band of it's a river continually extending in the X direction about 5 tiles deep. And it just updates every frame. So what we do is we get a nice little setup here, which is really convenient that it works out.
I'm gonna
save here, reset here, and then
here as well. Sorry.
Yeah. Go for it.
So I'm gonna be trying to cross this river, and I'm gonna need to listen to the background music to know when I've gone past it. That's late door, so that's fine. So my positioning is good. I just had the bad coin flip. That should be good. Yeah, I think I'm at the top of the wall, so I can take the blindfold off now. Awesome. Cool. So then, you can see we suddenly have a Jenna. I'm gonna leave the blindfold here because I'll need it again later. Suddenly we broke a leaf tile here, and we're gonna just break the game completely now. So I can save the game here. So the reason I can't do this blindfold is because of all the menuing. And luckily, the movement I will be doing here is super straightforward, so it doesn't really change. Hang on, I need the battle menu.
Yeah. Can I just explain how we got Jenna?
Absolutely, yeah, to go for it.
Yeah. So what happened is we ran across this leaf tile, which was the memory address assigned to Isaac's current defense value. The offset to that writes to the location of where our party is. As in, these characters are currently in your party. Now that we know what value is being written there, and it just so happens to write in Jenna Isaac. The game doesn't really like having duplicate characters, so when we start changing the things in the status screen, what the game does when it updates your party position, yikes. What it does when it updates your party, it actually removes all the characters and then rewrites them into the party order. And so doing that with a duplicate character like this kind of gets the game incredibly confused and starts adding in that extra character. And what we're going to do now is we're going to repeat that process a number of times to continually corrupt our party until we can get up to 8 characters. So this game was originally supposed to be a part of the Lost Age. It was supposed to be one giant GBA title. And so there was rudimentary support for 8 characters introduced into this game. They scrapped it at some point in development, but it does mean the game doesn't crash when we have more than 4 characters. The game doesn't exactly like it when we have more than 4 characters, but at least it supports it.
I'm getting some bad RNG here. Unlucky.
Very bad RNG, but that's okay.
I'll just wait a moment.
More time to explain.
There we go.
So having more than 4 characters actually starts leaking into other areas of memory. And at its most extreme, which is 8 characters, which is what we're going to work to, all kinds of crazy things happen at 8 characters. And the memory leak becomes, well, it's going to do more things. You can see it there, the leaf tile just broke. That is writing a new value into the party and is allowing FX to do all this party corruption right now. So we've got one more to do, I believe.
Yep, that should be it. There we go. We have
That should be it.
There we go. Saving it here. Alright, so the blindfold goes back on, and I'll just be doing an audio-related out-of-house movement again. Hopefully I'll get this first try. If I don't, I won't know. World map. So I'm loading the world map to corrupt the game's memory, or rather fill it up completely. And now I'm gonna...
That's a 4 if it matters.
Should be fine. I think I might be stuck. Let's try this. Yeah, I think I was stuck. I'm just gonna do it again. So, I'm running right for a certain amount of time, and then I hope to get my positional setup against a particular block, but it's not quite as easy as just running because there's some obstacles. That was 5 seconds. Okay. Alright. I'm fairly certain that I'm in the correct spot here. Can I retreat? Hello? I mean, I can take this off now, because I... There we go.
You may have seen it briefly, but there's a broken leaf tile in a place where there wasn't before. Slot 8 having 8 characters. Basically, one of the consequences of it is that it stores the tile of where you last opened the menu, and then when you run across a leaf tile, it actually writes the value into where the leaf tile, where you open the menu. So it allows us to kind of arbitrarily corrupt memory, which has some really fun side effects. When you can change values directly in memory, you can kind of do whatever you like, even if it's not arbitrary code. And you're going to see the power of that in just a moment. There's one other consequence of slot 8. You want to explain that one?
Yeah, so when I open my menu, the game will write a block of memory onto the roadmap, and then we get an encounter. That happens. What that does is, essentially what happens there is, the way the game tries to read this data is like sequentially, so it just goes down a list until it finds something that it needs to read, and it just finds this data that we just corrupted onto the map, and then it thinks, okay, well, this should be like the next encounter, but instead it reads it as if it was a door, and there's a lot of doors in the world, so with that, I get to just teleport around, because I can just pick and choose where I want to go. And now I get poisoned.
With one limitation.
With one limitation.
You get sent to the door. You get sent to the door of the party index of the encounter you were going to get. So that's the only limitation.
But because we have RNG
the only thing stopping us not from warping to the end of the game.
Because I have RNG minute, I can basically choose what I want. And in this case, I can Sanctum warp back to Colima Forest as we showed with the vault thing at the very beginning. And now I just need to do one more warp by opening the menu. All the way to after, essentially, one of the very late game dungeons where we can head to the final town. So, I'm going to play it safe and see what my HP is at. 31, okay. So I need to die now, but in a specific way. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be touching this loading zone down below on the same frame that the poison triggers. And in doing so, it will disable that loading zone, and I can just walk out of bounds. There you go. And then with the positional setup, I can just run right, and you can see that Isaac's strength is rather exhausted, 4 times as much actually. And with that, we just skip everything. We're just on our way to the final town. And if I did the out of bounds correctly in Treachery, this should be pretty much the end of the run. But first, I need to see that I did it correctly, so let's pray for a moment, because if I didn't, I'll have to go back and do it again. So hopefully we'll get happy music. And we have happy music! Easy! I wasn't worried at all, and I opened my menu because I'm silly. I'll have to reset that, because so the way this happened, I got stuck there, and the reason I got stuck is, because I corrupted, I opened my menu, which I'm not supposed to there, and it actually produces a wall in front of me. So I couldn't move any further. Here we go. Alright. Final cutscenes. Alright. So, I guess I can finally touch on what I was doing out of bounds at the very end in Treachery. I ran to a very particular tile that corresponds to the game's quest flags pertaining to the final boss. And by opening my menu on that tile and then breaking a leaf tile over it, the game thinks that we defeated the final boss. And so the final cutscene sequence can just begin. And with that, we just need to go to the Lemurian ship and set sail. And for this cutscene, I guess we have a moment for a quick donation.
Poltergeist donated $5. Always fantastic to see Golden Sun at any marathon. I'm glad I was able to catch it live. Happy 21st birthday to a great franchise.
Yo, thank you for that donation, Poltergeist. Time to depart. Yes, that's right. I'm pretty happy that I got this first try, honestly. There was a couple times I did this in practice and I didn't get it first try, and that would have been rather stressful, but managed to get it, so good stuff. Whoops. As you can see, the very standard party of Quadruple Isaac, Shiba, 2 Nothings, and Mia. I think that's how I remember this casually.
Yeah, that's how I played the game.
Yeah. Alright, so there we go. Just need to go through the final cutscene and then that will be the end. And that is how you break Golden Sun to an extent that is still... You still need to play some of the game, but not too much. Alright. And I guess I should... we can start with some shoutouts here. I want to thank T-Water and Rafi a bunch. They helped me figure out the camera to be able to produce this this style of showcase where you can actually see what I'm doing out of bounds, or rather, you can get an idea of it. I hope it was interesting. So yeah, thanks to them for helping me out with that. And of course, thanks to Plexa for also time. Sorry. Also, thanks to Plexa for joining me in commentating this monster run because it's insanely complicated, and I think he did an amazing job explaining what was going on as I was doing it. So, thank you so much. Do you have any shoutouts?
Yeah, I got one huge shout out to a lovely person by the name of Dyrati. She enabled us to break the game more than anything that we could have even realized. T-Water set us up and she slammed a dunk. Like, this is insane. A lot of this goes to her hard work and just figuring out how to corral this massive, complex beast of a challenge and turn it into not only ace, but this no ace category as well. Like, absolutely insane. Yeah, thanks to her as well.
Yeah. It was really a huge community effort to make this a possibility. It's kind of crazy how far the game came, because it was like a 3-hour something speedrun, and then it was T-Water who suggested some theories, and then Durati stepped in as well, and it just came down from 3 hours to an hour to half an hour, and yeah, it's been amazing, honestly. So thanks to everybody who helped out making this a reality, and I think that's about it, really. That's the run.
GG.
And I think 40 minutes for marathoning with this, with a bunch of safety stuff and having to go back to the start of Colima Forest, is not too bad, actually. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, everybody.
Rough with you today.
There are still more speedruns going on stream 1 if you want to get some more speedrun goodness. Thank you so much for having me, and until next time.